Hello and thanks for joining us on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television Miyetti. Welcome to this signature show. I'm Mwabuzi Njoko, and in this edition of the program, U.S. Security Alert. Nigerian military says it is not sitting on the warning. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwola, fires a warning shot at politicians. Leave the judiciary to do its job. Miyetti Allah lists conditions for peace in troubled Nigerian communities, but the cattle breeders arm of the group insists that cattle breeding must be modernized. Plus, thank you and corruption story. Please stay with us. Their labor of integrity should not be in vain. The ordinary Nigerian, the mechanic, the driver, the cleaner, road transport worker, market men and women, and even the civil servant. They have stood on the right side of life, refused to bend to corruption, insisting that honesty and integrity remain the best policy. On December the 9th, 2022, your nationally rated Pidgin English anti-corruption television program, Corruption Story, will honor these unsung Nigerians. Find them, nominate them, say what deed of honor they have done, and Corruption Story will celebrate and reward them in an award ceremony in Abuja, Nigeria on December the 9th, 2022. Successful nominees from outside of Abuja will be given an all-expenses-paid trip to the event. Send your nominations to corruptionstory@gmail.com before November the 30th, 2022. At the same event, the best 3 secondary school students and their schools in Corruption Story National Anti-Corruption Essay Competition will be announced and rewarded. Join us. Now, outside of Abuja, Nigeria's power capital, the conversation around the security alert and subsequent evacuation of non-essential staff by the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria has been generally animated. Theories of violent disruption of governance in Nigeria have been floated by extremist political pundits, some of who have cited unsubstantiated intelligence sources. In their agitated logic, these elements have linked their theories to both British and American intelligence sources. The initial reaction of the Nigerian government to what was obviously indecent and nearly unfriendly release of an alert that was sure to create panic and undermine confidence in the Nigerian government was itself as pedestrian, inelegant as it was ill-digested. The government dismissed the alert as outright hogwash, lacking in substance and devious in its intent. But last Thursday, the Nigerian military showed class, institutional discipline, and educated response. He said it was not sitting on the alert, but using fine comb on the alert to ensure that it becomes an unfulfilled prophecy. Now, in a special report this Sunday, correspondent Marvelous Ubomano raises questions on the U.S. security alert and seeks answers. Stay with us.
What is friendship in diplomatic circles? In matters of security in particular, how does one nation count another as friendly? Nigeria's Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, in reaction to the U.S. security alerts, stated that Nigeria would not be stampeded by the United States.
I want to reassure both citizens, non-Nigerians, Nigerians living in this country, that the security agencies are on top of this matter. Of course, the terrorists would not stop to try to embarrass or intimidate government. But what I'm saying is that this country is safe, and there's no cause for alarm.
The Inspector General of Police, Alkali Baba Usman, was more intolerant of the U.S. security advisory. He said the alert was false and wondered why the US authorities did not share the intelligence with the Nigerian police.
Forget about all this international conspiracy and efforts to bring down the efforts of government. Unnecessary security alerts that does not have any meaning to bring us down.
In providing the security advisory and beginning the evacuation of non-essential staff of its embassy in Abuja, the United States said it has limited ability to provide emergency assistance to US citizens in Nigeria, as there was an elevated risk of terror attacks in the country, especially in Abuja. Last week, however, the Nigerian military reassured Abuja residents that it did not sit on the US security alert.
On daily basis, people are being picked up all over across the country. On daily basis, the intelligence and the security agencies are doing a very humongous amount of work, and they will continue to do that. That is their mandate, and they will continue to do that. So there's no need for panicking. They will continue to give us their continue to do our job, and we'll continue to do our job as far as security of this nation is concerned.
Were some Nigerian authorities rather hasty to dismiss the security alerts, or even call it an unfriendly move put in the public domain to cause confusion?
Simple advice to their citizens. Nigerian state wanted to politicize it, just like what the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, dismissing the security alert given by the US. But behind the scene, the Nigerian security personnel came and confirmed that there were clear and present danger, but they were able to nip it on the bud. If not for the security alert given by the US government, they wouldn't have been that proactive.
Since the US-UK action, there have been reports of coordinated security operations in and around Abuja with the arrest of some terrorist elements. But what should be the role of the citizen in terror or conflict situations for which the US raised the alerts?
The Nigerian government mismanaged the information. To be frank with you, the information was meant for their citizens, and out of panic, the thing leaked to the Nigerian government. The first thing they did was to refute such an alarm, that there was no credibility in such security alert. But they went behind the scene to actually fortify our security apparatus, to actually go deep with the credible information they got from the US government. They acted swiftly to nip the threats on board.
There have been fears that some internal and external interests plot to undermine Nigeria's progress toward smooth transition from one government to another. Collaboration by friendly governments, a commitment to protect the nation by the citizens, will be more helpful in such circumstances than stoking fear, panic, and a sense of all is lost. In Abuja, Marvelous Oboman for Signature Show.
Well, thank you, Marvelous. Now, Femi Sholaja, emeritus sports journalist in the league or sports champion, has shared an inspired parable, the parable of World Cup. He has been putting together names of patriotic Nigerian football superstars who want to represent Nigeria in the 2026 World Cup. He did not make up the list, but merely compiled names of those pushing to represent Nigeria at the 2026 World Cup. Now the list is interesting. Christian Chukwu, Shego Degbami, Emmanuel Okala, Ruben Agbola, Mutiu Adepoji, Finidi George, Victor Ikpeba, Celestin Bayaro, Daniel Amokachi, Oke Uche, Kanu Nwankwo, JJ Okocha, Aloysius Ago, Peter Rufai, Tijani Babangida, and Henry Nwosu. Now, let me quote Femi Sholaja, the sports journalist of no mean repute. These wonderful Nigerian players have indicated serious interest to represent Nigeria in the 2026 World Cup. Reason? It has been their life ambition to win the World Cup for Nigeria, and they must achieve this goal. They are strong, competent, and skilled. Please support them the same way you support other old and retired players in Nigerian politics who want to actualize their childhood ambition as the best players to manage Nigeria to victory as president. End of quote. I won't say anymore. As we chew on Femi Sholaja's The Parable of the 2026 World Cup, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwoola, has raised a very touchy issue, which his predecessors have taken the position of let the sleeping dog lie. The Chief Justice, at a reception in his honor by the Oyo State government in Ibadan, warned politicians to steer clear of judicial officers. He said that politicians should let the judiciary do its job, period. His lordship simply made a veiled admission that politicians have been undermining or interfering with judges to influence the outcome of political cases. That's what he said. Let us expand the interference. When the executive holds back funds meant for judiciary, reduces judges to beggars, then does them the favor of buying cars for judges, building houses for them, providing conducive workplaces for them, and then demanding understanding, the executive clearly interferes in the uninfluenced and unfettered work of his lordships. We have been speaking with lawyers on Justice Ariwoola's warning. Please stay with us.
We reacted like every other normal Nigerian, in the sense that this is the season of politicking. In the next 150 days, even less than that, we'll be going to a full general election. And it should be seen that this is the season where everything will be let loose. And you know the schemings, strategies of politicians. This is the time it will be unleashed on every facet of every area in Nigeria, and every institution, every system. And you know, you agree with me that politicians will do everything possible, even impossible to ensure that they win an election. And part of it is to corrupt the system. Part of it is to undermine the system, even to compromise the system too. And I believe we should know one thing. My Lord Justice Olukayode Ariwoola happened to be the Chief Justice of Nigeria. That is number one citizen when we talk of judiciary. That is when it comes to dispensation of justice. And you and I will know that final habitat, the key area of any politician or any political contestation or competition, it is in the court. And I'm sure you will agree with me that every politician, some of them, let me use that word, will like to subvert the system, to corrupt the system to their own advantage. And it is expected, my Lord Justice Ariwoola, to send that warning. Don't cross the line. We don't need you around us. You don't need to come around. And that one come to know that we have judiciary that still stands strong, that still want to dispense justice. And I think what we need to do is to commend my Lord Justice Ariwoola. He has released the first shot, and I'm sure it has reverberated everywhere in the country. And it's expected that the politician will heed that indelible, strong advice from such kind of personality. I know you asked another question, that what is the issue of the separation of power. I want to believe that that message is to the politician, not those in government. I want to believe that message, it is those who are in the habit to contest now, running there and there. I don't want to believe that it is maybe executive or legislator who are part of the state officials. Don't forget that the judiciary is one of the tripod that we call government. We have the judiciary, we have the legislature, and we have the executives. These three are what we call government, and they must work hand in hand, irrespective that they have separation of power. While the judiciary, their duty is to interpret the law. The legislature, their duty is to make the law, while the executive, their duty is to execute the law. You can see that each one of them, all the three, they have their distinct duties and functions for smooth running of the government and vis-a-vis Nigeria. But no matter how, they can work together without coming into contact in one way that the powers always overlap. And that's why the issue why Montesquieu, that Frenchman, is advocating and propagating the issue of separation of power. He still talk about checks and balances. And I want to believe, if your question is in the context that maybe my Lord Justice Ariwola is talking to those in government, I'm not saying that it is beyond him. Yes, as a Chief Justice of Nigeria, he need to guide his area for smooth running. That is part of it. But even at that, each of the arms of government has the job, has the duty to perform, and they know where the check is ordered. Well, I'm one of those that believe in the sense that and I want to believe, maybe because of my background, because I know what it takes to be a judge in this country. Not only that you'll be at least 10 years at the bar, you must have passed through a lot of processes. You must have come through a lot of things that it's one of the best we always have. And to be so the way it's being peddled most of the time, say, oh, this one is corrupt, that one is corrupt. Sometimes it always worries me, because most of the time we appear in court. To even get closer to some of the judges, I must tell you, it is a dream sometimes to even greet them in the court, to even give them either in court or outside. But I must say this, however, out of general rule, there is all exception. We can have a sprinkles of such issue, but not as prevalent as it is. And like I say, it's behoves on us, both the practitioners as lawyers and the members of the public, to continue to safeguard our judiciary, to ensure that there's no way anybody will corrupt. Because most of the time, you find out that there's some people that will be meeting those in the member of the judiciary, or calling some politician to come, we'll help you do this, we'll help you do that. And you know, the politician, I'm not saying all, some that are so desperate, they are ready to dine with the devil and ready to bribe the devil. But one thing that matters most is through vigilance, we achieve the Nigeria of our dream. But like I said, I'm not in that notion that judiciary, they are corrupt. They cannot be. We still have some that we are so happy to appear before, to say, yes, this is incorruptible judge. They have no business in interfering with judicial function. That is the normal scenario. The normal scenario, I want to believe that you ask me of normal scenario. Normal scenario is that no litigant, because the only way you can interfere is maybe if you're a litigant or you have interest in any judicial procedure. The principle is you have no interferences with it. That's why judiciary, they are impartial. That's why we call them, they are impartial judges. You have no business to deal with them. Any interference is illegal, and this is issue of body of law. This is issue of the rules, and anybody that is doing that must be dealt with. So discussing about in the ways and manner, I want to say it's only the practitioner that will know the ways and manner they are doing that. We will never do that, particularly in my office or anybody close to me. We will never do that. So it is something that should not be discussed. Even if we must discuss it, it is to look for the punitive measure to be heavily punished whosoever that even think of it, not to even taking steps to interfere with judicial activities. It is wrong. It is illegal. and it's against good conscience, it's against natural justice, it's against the law of the land. I want to take one thing so clear. I want to believe I listened to what my Lord Justice Ariwola says. He is not begging. He's issuing a directive. He's more of it. He's more. I wouldn't want to call it a judicial order like the way president pray. We always have presidential order 1 or 2, but it is more of a directive and warning to say, look, don't cross the line. He need not beg. Whosoever that should do that, he has the court. He will be with death with. And I think that's what it is. It becomes the issue to say maybe he's begging. He need not beg. We know what the consequence is so clear. And when, as a judge, to have risen to that peak, he knows the consequence. All he just needs to know is that, look, if you think it's the other way, there's a new sheriff in town, I will brook no nonsense in this dispensation. And he has issued the warning, he has issued the order and directive, and whatever we can call it, save begging. And I believe it is to he who have ears, let them hear.
Judges, like lawyers, are minister in the temple of justice, and they are chief priests. And if you are chief priests, then the purity expected of you must be unassailed. Indeed, that's why we say justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done. So if the confidence of Nigerians are beginning to get shaken by the myriad of allegations coming from the judiciary, which is supposed to be the hope of not only the common man and woman on the street, but the hope of the big men, then something must be done. Because the bane of Nigerian society, the bane of our development, is corruption. And once there is this unaccounted actions, non-accountability of judicial actions, and when judicial officers become judicial tyrants, judicial despots, then Nigerians will have no hope, because the hope of Nigeria is in the judiciary. And once the judiciary is dancing naked in marketplaces, the awe with which the Nigerian general public holds that very revered arm of government will go down. And you know that today we are facing very terrible insecurity in our nation. And the judiciary is supposed to be the policeman of the Nigerian society. So where a policeman is unable to police himself well with the purity of heart, then who will police the police?
Okay, sir.
Now, the leadership of Miyetti Ala Kautahore, a Fulani social-cultural group, last Monday said the development of all the 415 grazing reserves across Nigeria is a condition for peace in Nigeria's troubled communities. The association said it could in fact resort to self-help in Benue State situation, where it said some of its members were killed unless the killers were fished out and punished. But the newly elected president of Miyetti Ala Cattle Breeders Association, Baba Musa Miyetti, accepts that Fulani herders face difficult prospects in the future unless they modernize pastoralism. He, however, says government must take it as an economic policy and not a favor to the Fulani. These and other issues we raised in our conversation this Sunday. Stay with us. Their labor of integrity should not be in vain. The ordinary Nigerian, the mechanic, the driver, the cleaner, road transport worker, market men and women, and even the civil servant. They have stood on the right side of life, refused to bend to corruption, insisting that honesty and integrity remain the best policy. On December the 9th, 2022, your nationally rated Pidgin English anti-corruption television program, Corruption Tori, will honor these unsung Nigerians. Find them, nominate them, say what deed of honor they have done, and corruption story will celebrate and reward them in an award ceremony in Abuja, Nigeria on December the 9th, 2022. Successful nominees from outside of Abuja will be given an all-expenses-paid trip to the event. Send your nominations to corruptionstory@gmail.com before November the 30th, 2022. At the same event, the best 3 secondary school students and their schools in Corruption Story National Anti-Corruption Essay Competition will be announced and rewarded. Join us. This afternoon, we have the president of the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria. He is Baba Usman Miyetti. You are welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
There's a security challenge about this matter. Your people in the bushes, moving from location to location, tend to encounter the insecurity firsthand. I do not know whether I'll be making a serious demand on you. What is the expectation of the level of security protection for your members? What demand will you make of both the state and federal government?
Well,
you see,
security is the absolute responsibility of the government, whether at the federal or state level. It's an absolute responsibility of the government. And our members are also citizens of this country. They deserve to be protected by the government, either state or federal. As citizens, they deserve every right and privilege as Nigerians, just like any other person in this country. So protecting them is the responsibility of the government, and we believe the government is doing its best in trying to protect everybody, because if not for the security that we have in this country today, only God knows where the country will be. But because of the security, that is why me and you are now discussing in the studio in peace. If there is no security, we would not have had the opportunity to come and talking to ourselves for the public to see.
The government is trying.
Well, government is trying. It's trying, because that is why we are living in peace. That is why we transact business during the daytime without any much fear or what have you. But there are some areas where there are serious cases of insecurity, and we believe the government is aware about all these things, and we believe the government must be doing something about this kind of things.
I want you and I to close our eyes and look 100 years from now. 100 years, I will not be here. You are not likely to be here. The pastoralist moves from location to location, not because he wants to move, but because he's looking for fodder and water for his animal. We are having this conversation in Abuja. 50 years ago, the entire Abuja was open land, and the pastoralists moved happily. There was grass, there was water. Abuja is shrinking. I said, let's close our eyes and look 100 years. There'll be new cities, there'll be new towns, there'll be development, and available space for pastoralists will be shrinking. I've paused to allow you see what I'm saying and ask you, what be the fate of the pastoralist in 100 years? And what change can we begin to make him comfortable, relevant, and a major part of the economy?
Thank you very much for this question. You see, I believe was about what we said. Don't talk of even 100 or 50 years to come. Talk of 10, 20 years to come. Because the population as it is will continue to grow. Not only the population of human beings, even the populations of the animals will continue to grow against a land that doesn't increase. So this calls for an effective planning in order to accommodate everybody. The pastoralists, the Nigerian pastoralists are still practicing the primitive system of animal husbandry they inherited from their forefathers, because there was no attempt by the past succeeding administrations to try to transform them, to try to make them know the system of modernized animal husbandry. They are still holding an outdated species of cow that is given a maximum of not more than 3 liters per cow. They are still maintaining a species of cows that are weighing not more than 100, 150 kilogram. Because of the continuous movement, they lose weight. So they have no enough meat. The meat is just contained with a lot of muscles and what have you. But is this their own fault? It's not their own fault. This is a society that has not been educated. This is a society that was left on its own for decades. We have about 415 grazing reserves spread across the northern part of the country, with only 3 are still allocated in the southwestern part of the country. Apart from those 3, all the other grazing reserves have allocated in the northern part of the country, covering an area of about 5 million hectares of land. But are these grazing reserves developed? Even those that have enjoyed interventions were left to deteriorate. The dams are silted, no water. The nomadic schools are no longer there. The milk collection centers, veterinary clinics that were provided in some of the grazing reserves as intervention by some other internal and external organizations were all left to dilapidate. They no longer serve the purpose for which they were. This gradual process made the grazing reserves become bare. So the palatable grasses that are being consumed by the cows are giving way to unpalatable ones. So most of the grazing reserves are being taken over by unpalatable grasses that are not being consumed by the cow because of lack of maintenance. And these guys, the pastoralist society, have cows as their only source of livelihood. All their lives and that of their family depends on the cow. They sell the cow for everything. They are not dependent on government for everything. When they want to buy food, they sell the cow, buy food. When they want to get the daughter married out, they go to the cow. When they want to take wife for the son, they sell the cow. When they want to go to hospital, so the cow is everything for them. It's a source of livelihood and a way of life, and culture is attached to it. They have to survive. And the only way for them to survive, as they see their forefathers do, is to roam the wild looking for free pasture. After all, what took them to the southern part of the country?
Let me intervene.
It's in search of pasture and water.
I want to intervene here because I have asked this question before and I have not gotten an answer. Will the Fulani pastoralists accept a Marshall Plan for the industry?
Hold on, I am coming down to that. Before I started, I told you the population will continue to grow. Both sides, both on the side of the human beings and the cow, against a land that doesn't increase. This calls for an effective planning. We are never opposed to ranching. We are never opposed to settlement. We know at the end, the pastoralists must have to settle in one place. But how are they going to settle? You cannot bring any sort of ranching model from the outside and expect these pastoralists will embrace it. It has to suit their peculiarities before they accept. And what are those peculiarities? We have a pastoralist society that doesn't concern much about the quality of the cow. Its concern is the quantity, because The number of the cows you have determines the importance, your importance in the society you live. The more cows you have, the more important you become. So until when you understand these dynamics, until when you understand these peculiarities, before you begin to think and come up with a model that can suit these peculiarities. If there is a model that can suit these peculiarities, and if we put our heads together, we must definitely develop one. They can always set.
You see, this level of this part of our conversation, if you may pardon me, doesn't seem to totally tally with the position of your sister organization, Miyetti ala
Kautalhore.
Yes. Which is insisting on gazetting and designating the 500 and something grazing routes across the country, which is also asking for a ministry of nomadic affairs. Can we harmonize?
We are on the same page with them. We have been agitating for the creation of the livestock ministry for the past 8 years now.
Are you not accommodated under the Ministry of Agriculture?
No. Imagine the challenges the pastoralists are facing in the country today. Do you think these challenges can be addressed by a mere husbandry ministry under a Ministry of Agriculture? And not only that, that ministry is being manned by all sorts of people, mostly those who don't have passion for pastoralism in this country. So the challenges of the pastoralists of this country is more than the power of a mere department under a ministry. That is the reason why, just like most of the African countries, West African countries we have been agitating for the creation of a livestock ministry so that the whole issue will be addressed under a particular body that is purely designated to address the issues. That is why we have been agitating for the livestock ministry. Or if we cannot get that, let's have a minister of state for livestock under the existing ministry, at least, if not an agency created for livestock. So this has been part of our agitation for the past 8 years. So we are almost on the same pace, gazetting the roads and gazetting the grazing reserves. There is no ranching in the country that can accommodate the pastoralists we have. And ranching cannot come just over time, just like if you want to switch off light and switch it on. It has to come as a process. And these are the processes we have to go through. Develop the existing grazing reserves, provide water in them. Once there is water and grass in the grazes we have in the north, what will take the pastoralists to the southern part of the country to put them in unnecessary trouble? What will be taking them to some forests where they become vulnerable for attack by all sorts of things? If you develop the grazing reserves, they will come and stay in them. And it is only when you get them in their large numbers staying in one place that you will have the opportunity to train them, educate them, sensitize them, provide milk processing factories around that place, provide meat processing factories, and provide veterinary services and what have you. So as a process, and if you want to ranch, are you going to buy the land for ranching from heaven to bring it down to the earth? You still have to use the existing land that we are all competing on it. So maintain the grazing reserves for us. In the event, in preparation for future ranching, we have to have a land before we ranch. So as a process, we have to develop this reserve. As a process, we have to create linkages between one reserve and the other. And those linkages are the cattle routes, to avoid encroaching into farmlands where little distraction will cause loss of lives. Because once a cow eats up little bit of plant, it becomes trouble, or it becomes a source of extortion. You see the leadership, the community, the farmer, the security and everybody conniving to extort the pastoralist by exploiting his ignorance. So a distraction that may not be more than 10, 20,000, if you are going to settle it, the pastoralist will find himself paying 1 million, 2 million naira for even the entire farmland will not be more than 500,000 naira. But because of one simple distraction, the pastoralist will be held to pay 2 million naira. Extortion. So there has to be, ranching has to come as a process. It's not going to come overnight. These guys have been practicing this primitive system of annual husbandry over the years. And farming and live cattle rearing, there are two professions that were born to coexist together. It's just like a relationship of tongue and teeth.
I'm talking to state governments. Because by the constitution, the land is their responsibility.
The state government are the custodians of the grazing reserves. The state governments are the custodians of security in their states. The state governments are the custodian of education in their states. I'm purely talking to the state governments. The federal government has very little to do in this aspect, but the legislature has a lot to do, both at the state and the national level, more especially House of Reps and Senate. They will have to come and legislate on some of these challenges. They will have to come and legislate on them. Sentiments aside, take responsibility as Nigerians. Don't say, me, I am from the south, I don't want the pastoralists to be given. Some are even saying it's a private business, so government should not help it. It's wrong. Even a foreigner who is coming into Nigeria to invest deserves some sort of incentives by the Nigerian government. Airports are being established, developed, constructed for private airlines to fly and take off for their private owned businesses. Motor parks and roads are being constructed from commercial vehicles to fly, charge passengers money. It's not free. They charge money. It's their source of livelihood. But the government has constructed roads. But because out of sentiments, people are saying, no, cattle rearing is a private business, they should private. They deserve some sort of assistance and incentive like any other trade in this country. If a foreigner who is coming to invest into Nigeria deserves some sort of incentives, what more of an indigene who is the most important, who is the most productive society in Nigeria, who is providing the sole protein needs of the country? What more of him? What makes him an alien citizen? So, you see, sometimes people are just arguing for the sake of argument. If roads are constructed for commercial vehicles to fly, if airports are constructed for commercial airlines to land and take off, and are they giving the Nigerian federal government that money? It's their own money. It's the airlines company money. They only maybe pay some royalties, but those commercial vehicles that are flying our roads, are they paying royalties? Even the money that is being collected in the motor park is being collected by the Union of Road Transport Workers, going into their private pocket, not government. But when it comes to cow, because Fulanis are the owners, it will become something else. So look at the extent of hatred. Look at the extent of injustice that is meted against the pastoralists of this country.
Let's not be negative.
No, I'm not being negative. But you can agree with me that these things that I have said are there. The roads are there for the commercial vehicles to fly. The airports are there for airlines to take off. You must also agree with me. Some foreigners who are coming into Nigeria to invest deserve some sort of incentives. What more of the pastoralists? If they are denied, what do you call that? Is it not injustice?
Baba Usman Miyetti, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
And now for our thank you for this Sunday. He is not a hitchhiker nor a pilgrim, but he has elected the highway on his journey to fun, pleasure, and entertainment. His name is Chibuzo Azubike, Enugu Coal City brought up, graduate of public administration from the Institute of Management and Technology, Enugu. His stage name, Feino, And he takes the stage this Sunday afternoon, sweeping everything else aside with Umuaka Highway.
Yeah. I go a daily. I'm a mock and what time they cause I pull up in the mountain jazz on. I pass my kick out. I go talk and back and walk out days on. It's even my kissing name walk. Past life when I walk out day born. And I'm a go guide ya bomb. Yeah. Fino on your highway. Here is the highway. Umuaka highway. Shalom na highway. Oh, I'm no highway. To be on a highway. Man, a trouble, whatever, highway. Look on the wine me. Jay, but they fay here. Okay, men. On your brother, Jack, copy a siawa, they fay there. For long wagon on compete. A second a street, no compete. Reason that they keep on 100. Man, eating yellow man, it talk on claim. Fino on your highway. Here is the highway. Umuaka highway. Shalom na highway. Oh, I'm no highway. To be on a highway. Man, a trouble, whatever, highway. The banjo, why me? Jay, baka,
DJ K-Wise.
Yeah, Adama cow, Adabamba. One on the talk, Adabamba. I send a very late on now. Like a chippy for long wagon on compy. Toyota na Porsche, no compy. Listen that they keep on 100. My colonel me husband. Che, I go a daily. I'm a mock and what time they boil. Cause I put up in the mountain jazz on. I pass my kick out. I go talk and back and walk out days on. It's even my kissing name walk. Past life and I walk out day born. And I'm a go guide ya bomb. Fino on your highway. Here is the highway. Umuaka highway. Shalom na highway. Oh, I'm no highway. To be on a highway. Man, a trouble, whatever, highway. Look on the wine me.
And that's our package for this Sunday, but please stay with us as we join my colleague, Marvelous Obomano, for Corruption Story. My name never changes, and Mwabuz Njoko. Good afternoon.
My people, una welcome to Corruption Story for this Sunday, where sun don begin hammer people wey dey Abuja like say rain never fall before. You know wetin Fela Anikulapo Kuti sing for one song? Him say, "You be thief, I no be thief. You be rogue, I no be rogue. You be ole, I no be ole. You be armed robber, I no be armed robber." Argument. As Fela sing, na so countryman dey argue now for wetin concern election matter for Nigeria. Corruption, na who dey bring am for election for Nigeria? Politician go say, "E no be me." INEC go say, "E no be me o." police go say e no be me, countryman go kukuma join dem say e no be me. So na who e be? Last week we bring you how people wey sabi tell us wetin politicians and security people go do to stop the mago-mago wey dey spoil election for our country Nigeria. Today the matter wey we carry come na how countryman go put hand make mago-mago and wayo stop for our election. My name na Marvelous Oboman, your tori master. Una welcome.
This na corruption tori.
You know say as you dey point finger for another person dey talk say na him dey shit for farm every time, you need to look yourself well o, because the other 4 fingers dey point at you. You never do am before? Na him when corruption tori gather people wey sabi wetin dey happen. One man wey him name na Jideojo come talk say for this 2023 election, countryman must look himself well. Jideojo say na countryman dey push politicians enter mago-mago reach way to win election. When they go ask politicians wey come rally for their side say, oga, wetin you bring come for us? Wetin you carry come for us? Abeg, we no wan hear I no get savor, I no get money, I no get shishi. Na that one we go chop. If you dey do that kind thing, that one come be say you dey sell your vote o. You dey sell good election and you dey sell good government.
We saw during the party primaries how the whole thing was monetized. And I keep telling people that there is no free lunch in Freetown. These politicians who have emerged as flag bearers, who spent billions of dollars to emerge as candidates, are going to recoup their investment if any of them gets elected into the office. The electorate needs to be very mindful of this provision in Section 121 and Section 127 of the Electoral Act, that they are complicit in collecting as much as they are complicit in asking. And if they did ask to be given bribe before they vote, they have not acted as a patriotic citizen. In the just concluded continuous voter registration exercise, there were allegations that some of the ad hoc staff actually exploited potential registrants by demanding money from them. Part of our responsibility as electorate is to ensure that these people are fished out and are punished, and that those INEC will be engaging for 2023 general elections are above board, that there are people who will not be compromised, that there are people who are incorruptible. Those millions of people who will be engaged as ad hoc staff, they must also be committed to electoral integrity. Andy Ezani, wey be one man wey sabi wetin dey happen, and this man don work as big oga for INEC, come join Jideojo talk say even INEC suppose to look all the people wey e dey employ for election work.
Yeah, never do. I just very fresh registration.
I tell something. Anybody go do fresh registration for you. I know they do fresh registration because they cost you. Anybody go do fresh registration for you go charge you nothing less than 3,000.
3,000.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Except na transfer I won't do.
Okay.
People like NYSC members, Ezani talk say some of the NYSC INEC workers no dey for Chirekambia for money matter. Bring the money, I go do am for you. Na him dem dey. Him say INEC suppose to train them well. Tell them say the work for election be like person wey wan go heaven. They no dey take am do kalu.
Before elections and all that kind of stuff, the commission will always organize the orientation for the ad hoc staff and all that kind of briefing. But it is obvious now that the moral aspect of the whole thing is weak. The reports are not coming from one direction alone. It is all over the nation about the staff that are involved in these assignments, getting involved in all this unfortunate behavior. And so the thing I know that the commission had to do, 2 things. One is to, improve and strengthen that aspect of a briefing and orientation before the exercises commence. Secondly, is to be very strict and then to make sure that sanctions, very serious sanctions, are imposed on any of the staff who is caught involved in all this. If you listen to many reports that are coming in with the registration of voters, it is very, very sad and unfortunate that staff of the commission who are involved actually, or who were involved in registering voters, a basic civic exercise, we get to the point of beginning to ask for pittance of 2,000 or 3,000 to get people registered. And at a point that you have a whole lot of people queuing up to register. And so it is unfortunate. The commission cannot shake the responsibility. I don't see any other person coming from any other place to do it. And it is not something that the security agencies like the police will do. And so invariably, it is up to the commission to make sure that any staff that gets identified with such behavior is seriously sanctioned.
But you know say another wahala wey fit spoil the 2023 election na if mago politicians come sabi how to wayorish enter the machine or buy the people wey dey control the INEC machine like computer or the one wey dey call beavers. If you hear wetin Jane Ifediora wey be one of the people wey dey in charge of computer and other machine dem for INEC talk, your belle go sweet you well well.
So when you talk of manipulation or what, beavers, you can manipulate beavers as I'm talking with you. So the problem I'm seeing in future that can happen is hacking through the server or the cloud, which adequate cyber security is in place. So as we are talking now, the new technology is in place in Nigeria.
This a corruption theory.
My country people, e be like say we don close the door wey thief go fit enter spoil matter for this 2023 election wey we dey go so. But we never reach where we dey go. As we dey waka, corruption tori go tell you. For today, na here we go match break. My name na Marvelous Oboman. Una bye bye yo.